Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so let's begin the 11th chapter. Universal form, Vishwarup Darshan Yoga. First 8 verses, Arjuna's request, Krishna's description of his universal form, 9 to 31, Sanjay's description of Arjuna's vision, then 30 to 34, Krishna says, I am, and you just become my instrument. 35 to 46, Arjuna's prayers, and 47 to 55, only pure devotees can see Krishna's two-armed form. First verse. Hey, Haribo, you put the second part. This is the second part. Arjuna Uvacha Mad Anugrahaya Paramam Guhyam Adhyatma Sanyitam Yatvayoktam Vachastena Mohoyam Vigato Mama. Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. Read the purport, please.
This, this chapter reveals Krishna as the cause of all causes. He is even the cause of the Mahavishnu, from whom the material universe emanates. Krishna is not an incarnation. He is the source of all incarnations. That has been completely explained in the last chapter. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he says that his illusion is over. This means that Arjuna no longer thinks of Krishna as a mere human being, as a friend of his, but as a source of everything. Arjuna is very enlightened and is glad that he has such a great friend as Krishna. But now he's thinking that although he may accept Krishna as the source of everything, others may not. So, in order to establish Krishna's divinity for all, he is requesting Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. Actually, when one sees the universal form of Krishna, one becomes frightened, like Arjuna. But Krishna is so kind that after showing it, he converts himself again into his original form. Arjuna agrees to what Krishna has several times said. Krishna is speaking to him just for his benefit. So Arjun acknowledges that all this is happening to him by Krishna's grace. He is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes and is present in everyone's heart as super soul.
So here Arjuna is expressing his gratitude for the knowledge that he has received from Krishna. Mad Anugrahaya Paramam Guhyam Adhyatma Sanyitam. So he's saying, this is your great mercy that you have explained this Paramam Guhyam, very, very confidential subject matter you have explained. And what is the result of that? Mohoyam Vigata. So my moha, my illusion has been removed, has been dispelled. So Arjuna says that at the end of the Gita also, correct? But here also he says, so here also he's saying his illusion is gone. So therefore, after hearing all the knowledge so far, Arjuna is admitting that his illusion is over. But still, out of his kindness, Krishna gives him more knowledge. So now, so here basically he's expressing his gratitude to Krishna that by his grace, his illusion has been dispelled. And of course, Prabhupada is describing the further verses, and that is why Arjuna is requesting Krishna to show the universal form, and that is not for himself. As far as he is concerned, his illusion is gone. Last chapter also what he said after the Chatushloki. Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Param. So Arjuna has already understood. But then for the benefit of others, he requests Krishna to talk about his opulences, to show his universal form. So basically two reasons why Arjuna asked to see the Vishrup. One is to establish Krishna's divinity, and the second is to set a criterion for all future bogus avatars. So that one clearly differentiates between the true avatars and bogus avatars. So that's the reason why he tells Krishna to show the universal form. So now in the next verse, in case we'll just read this commentary, please read. So this is the connection between the previous chapter and this chapter.
After Arjuna seeing the universal form, praises it in reverence. When Krishna shows himself again, Arjuna becomes pleased. At the end of the last chapter, hearing about one Amsha of his dear friend, the Adi Purusha, who is the shelter of all the vibhutis, with the words Vishtabhyam idam Krishnam ekam sena isthito jagat, Arjuna became submerged in the highest bliss and desired to see that form. He praises what the Lord has just spoken in 3 verses. The words spoken by you, revealing vibhutis present in yourself, Adhyatma, have removed my ignorance concerning your powers, Moha. The word Adhyatma is here taken as Avyai Bhava, compound of Adi, in, and Atma, self, meaning in the self.
So at the end of the last chapter, Krishna said, Vishtabhyaham idam krisam ekam sheno sthito jagat. With my one amsha, I am pervading the entire universe. So therefore now Arjuna wants to see that one amsha by which he is pervading the entire universe. Second verse, Arjuna is recalling some of the knowledge that he has so far received. Bhavapyayau hi bhutanam shrutau vistarasho maya tattvata tvataha kamalapatraksha mahatmyam api chavyayam. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. So, as Prabhupada is explaining, so he's referring to previous chapters. Prabhupada is giving some references. Aham kritsnasya jagata prabhava pralayastata. Where is that? Which chapter? Yes, 7th chapter. I am the source of appearance and disappearance of the entire mental manifestation. So Arjuna has heard of this from the Lord in detail. So now he's saying, yes, I've heard all this. Third verse. Evam metad yatha tattvam atmanam parameshvara drashtum ichchami te rupam aishwaram purushottama. O greatest of all personalities of supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. Purport.
The Lord said that because he entered into the material universe by his personal presentation, the cosmic manifestation has been made possible and is going on. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he is inspired by the statements of Krishna. But in order to convince others in the future who may think that Krishna is an ordinary person, Arjuna desires to see him actually in his universal form. To see, he is acting from within the universe, although he is apart from it. Arjuna addressing the Lord as Purushottama is also significant. Since the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is present within Arjuna himself. Therefore, he knows the desire of Arjuna, and he can understand that Arjuna has no special desire
to see him in his universal form. For Arjuna is completely satisfied to see him in his personal form of Krishna. But the Lord can understand also that Arjuna wants to see the universal form to convince others. Arjuna did not have any personal desire for confirmation. Krishna also understands that Arjuna wants to see the universal form to set a criteria. For in the future, there would be so many impostors who would pose themselves as incarnations of God. The people, therefore, should be careful. One who claims to be Krishna should be prepared to show his universal form to confirm his claim to the people.
Okay, so here he is requesting Krishna to show the universal form. Drashtum ichchami te rupam. So te rupam means which he has spoken in the last verse. So the one amsha, ekam shena sthito jagat. So that amsha, that rupam he wants to see, he's requesting. And as Prabhupada is explaining why he's addressing Krishna as Purushottama, because he's saying that you are Purushottama, you're the supreme, you know my desire. So actually it is not my desire. You are only creating that desire. So Krishna is only creating that desire in Arjuna so that others can be convinced as to who is the supreme. So that is the reason why he's addressing him as Purushottama. Fourth verse. Manyase yadi tachakyam maya drashtum iti prabho yogeshvara tato metvam darshayatmanam avyayam. If you think that I'm able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. Purport.
It is said that one can neither see, hear, understand, nor perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna by the material senses. But if one is engaged in loving transcendental service to the Lord from the beginning, then one can see the Lord by revelation. Every living entity is only a spiritual spark. Therefore, it is not possible to see or to understand the Supreme Lord. Arjuna, as a devotee, does not depend on his speculative strength. Rather, he admits his limitation as a living entity and acknowledges Krishna's inestimable position. Arjuna could understand that for a living entity, it is not possible to understand the unlimited infinite. If the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of the infinite by the grace of the infinite. The word Yogeshwar is also very significant here because the Lord has inconceivable power. If he likes, he can reveal himself by his grace, although he is unlimited. Therefore, Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give Krishna orders. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. Thus, it is not possible for a person who depend on the strength of their mental speculations to see Krishna.
So here, Arjuna is requesting, Manyase yadi tachakyam. If you think I'm capable of seeing, is not demanding, show me, I want to see. What is saying? Manyase yadi. If you think that I'm capable of seeing, then you show. If you think I'm not capable, don't show. I'm all right. Whether you show or don't show. So that's the right mood of asking something. Maya drashtum miti prabho. Prabhu, you are Prabhu, you are Ishvara. So you decide whether I'm qualified or not. And he is definitely capable of showing because he's Yogeshwar. So he's capable of showing the universal form. So the highlight statement in this purport is what? Yes. If the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of the infinite by the grace of the infinite. If the infinite reveals himself, first of all, he has to reveal. But even if he reveals, one will not be able to understand unless one gets the grace of the infinite. So both factors are important. First of all, he has to agree to reveal. And even if he reveals, I will be able to understand only by his grace. So on the basis of this statement, we have some questions for you. So the first question is, what is meant by the term, by the grace of the infinite? Why do you think this is logically true? That's the first question. Second question, identify ways in which this doctrine of grace could be misunderstood or misapplied. This is technically called as academic and moral integrity. So academic and moral integrity means accepting Shastra as it is and applying Shastra as it is without misinterpretation. That is called as academic and moral integrity. And the third question is, identify how they could apply this understanding. What understanding? This doctrine of grace with regard to their attitude and their behavior. So if one has a proper understanding of this Siddhanta about Kripa, grace, then how will it affect one's attitude and behavior? Attitude is internal, behavior is external. 3 questions clear? So form groups and discuss for 5 minutes. क्या? हाँ 3-4 लोग. Or wait, here it says work in pairs. So maybe that's good. So then less brains have to put more effort. And चलो 2-2 करो. अच्छा ठीक है, वहां आप तो कौन है ऑनलाइन? तो आप लोगों का हो गया ना? Hare Krishna, online devotees, have you done?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Who's saying yes?
Myself, Prabhuji, Uma Shankar.
Good. Okay, so you can begin.
Yes, Prabhuji. So,
Answer to the first question.
this doctrine of grace, what is explained here, So, first question was that what is meant by this grace of infinite and how is it logically true? So, actually, we see this is how the entire universe, that there is one singular supreme and plural subordinate. And if we look at, I'm coming to the logical aspect, like how is it logically true? If some citizen thinks that okay, I will immediately, I want to see the prime minister right now in front of me, it is not possible unless the prime minister is happy with the citizens, behavior and his contribution. So then he on his own becomes kind of merciful to the citizen and comes, or can be given of a principal just like that, don't meet all the students, but if one of the student does performs very well, so principal himself calls him to the cabin and he meets him. But for the student, if he goes on dharna that I want to meet the prime minister, I want to meet the principal, it may not be obliged. This is how the entire world functions, that the person who is superior, in superior position, he has to be merciful to the subordinate to understand him or to get his, or to approach him.
Okay, good points. Okay, somebody from here wants to add something?
No? Prabhuji, that by the grace of the infinite, regarding that I will tell. In this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Gopinathacharya, in between that discussion happens. Where Gopinathacharya says that by the mercy of the Lord only we can identify his Lord.
And
we
Sarvabhauma
can
Bhattacharya?
understand. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says that what is the what is the proof of this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is his Lord only.
Yes.
Like,
So he could not understand. Even though Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is right in front of him, still you could not understand.
then that time Gopinathacharya says that by the Lord's mercy we can understand. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says that there is one Anumana Pramana is there, by that we can understand the Lord. But Gopinathacharya says by Anuman we cannot understand, but by the grace of the Lord we can understand. We can give the example like sunlight. By the sunlight only we can see the sun. Otherwise, there is no sunlight, we cannot put the torch, and by this
Correct.
artificial lights we cannot see the sun. By the sun, light of the sun, that is mercy
Correct.
compared to Lord.
Good, very nice points.
And for the second question,
Bad.
Guruji, this logically it is true because we are trying to access something which is beyond our range of perception. Because we are trying to access Adokshaja, which by name himself is Adoksha. He is not. We cannot comprehend him or apprehend him. So, because it is beyond our sense perception, it is only if he allows, then we can see him.
Correct.
By any means.
Athapiti deva padambujadvaya prasad leshanugrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno na chanyameko chiram vichinvan. Even if one speculates for a long time, chiram vichinvan, still one can't understand. Okay, Prashant Prabhu?
Because like if you see in whole Kurukshetra war also, like universal form is saw by only few devotees, not everyone.
Correct.
So by this we can easily understand that is only by grace of Krishna, infinity. Its form is
Okay, good point.
So, Prabhuji, in practical life also, Prabhupada gave examples of a child and mother. If child want to know the father, so he understand by the grace of the mother. He doesn't go and do DNA test of every other man and try to understand who is my father.
Correct. Okay, good. Thank you. So fine. Now, second question. So first we give chance to online devotees. So who wants to answer second question? Naik Saka Prabhu, Praveen Prabhu, Suraj Prabhu, Vittal, Vishnu Prabhu. Vittal has gone to Pandharpur or what? So who wants to answer? Hey, what is this? There's no response.
Prabhuji, if like
Hey, no, not Uma Shankar. Shankar has spoken enough.
प्रभु जी मैंने अभी ज्वाइन किया है, मैं 5-10 मिनट पहले ज्वाइन किया मैंने मीटिंग।
Thank you for your honesty. ठीक है, आप सुनते रहो। क्या?
तो ये मैं ज्वाइन किया है लेकिन उसके बारे में सोचा नहीं मुझे कुछ।
कौन है?
विठल कृष्णदास भाई।
अरे क्या कर रहे थे फिर? बीच में रेस्टिंग टाइम हो गया क्या?
नहाने के लिए गए।
सब पैरेलल प्रोसेसिंग चल रहा है। अच्छा है। और नायक से का प्रूव?
यस प्रभु जी।
गुड। हाँ, जरा प्रश्न का उत्तर दीजिए।
प्रभु जी वो पहला प्रश्न का देने वाला था, वो तो
हाँ, हो गया अभी।
क्वेश्चन क्या
पहला
है
पूछ रहा हूँ।
अभी दूसरा बताइए ना।
दूसरा थोड़ा आ नहीं रहा प्रभु जी।
ये अच्छा है, जो हो गया वो मैंने किया। और सूरज प्रभु क्या बोल रहे? सूरज थोड़ा रोशनी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हाँ बोलिए।
बहुत वाले
क्या दूसरा प्रश्न का क्या हुआ?
नहाने गए थे बोले।
नायक से का प्रभु आपका बंद करो अभी। हाँ सूरज प्रभु आप कुछ बोल रहे हैं कि नहीं?
प्रभु जी रिसेंटली अभी सुना नहीं था मैंने 5 मिनट। ये हेडफोन डिस्चार्ज हो गया था प्रभु, हेडफोन में सुन रहा था।
ये ऑनलाइन का लफड़ा है, ये ऐसे ही होता है। ठीक है भाई, आप विश्व रूप को देखते रहो। ओके, हियर सेकंड क्वेश्चन।
One of the foremost improper application of this grace factor is like whenever we ask people to come for the program or some yatra, they say कि जब भगवान की इच्छा होगी तो वही बुलाएंगे। हम क्या कर सकते हैं उसमें? So they want to cut off and be irresponsible. They do not want to take responsibility on the name of grace. So that is one miss. And
correct. So that's one important misuse of this doctrine of grace. One can become irresponsible. जब भगवान चाहती सब कुछ हो जाए, अभी मुझे क्या करना है? बस अभी सो जाना है, बस बाकी सब हो जाए। Okay, any other misuse? You have the mic.
So people generally, like demons, they use the grace of the Lord for wrong thing, just like they are doing austerity tapasya to take the blessings of different demigods, some material desires like that.
Achha, theek hai, like that. Okay, so using the grace for fulfilling material desires. Okay, correct. Okay, that also one misuse.
In this example, like somebody might say that a particular devotee has got more sang of his spiritual master or some mahat sangha more. So that's why he's advancing so quickly, and I am just at that same.
कुछ नहीं मिला अभी, कृपा नहीं मिला. So that can be as an excuse for not practicing devotional service seriously. क्या? कैसे?
they don't want to follow rules and regulations of the Shastras because maximum part of that is rules, regulations only how to act. But they want to take just Leela part and want to act like that without following all the other rules and regulations which has been. So they are taking it cheaply, just taking that grace part where Lord has revealed himself, but not the endeavor which we have to put.
Okay, yes. So one may use that as an excuse for not practicing devotional service seriously, saying that okay, somebody has got grace, so therefore they're progressing. अभी मुझे कुछ नहीं मिला, मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? So that sort of must be. हाँ?
हरे कृष्णा
कौन बोल रहा है?
प्रवीण
हाँ, प्रवीण प्रभु बोलिए.
कोई ऐसा कह सकता है कि सब कुछ भगवान कंट्रोल करते हैं, तो मुझसे जो भी अपराध हो रहा है, कुछ गुनाह हो रहा है, कुछ पाप किया, तो भी वो भगवान ही मुझसे करा ले रहे हैं.
हाँ, ठीक है, ये भी एक मिसयूज हो सकता है. भगवान ही सब करवा रहे, मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ. जो भी पाप है, अपराध है, सबका कारण भगवान ही है. Okay, this also can be misused. Good.
Here, Prabhupada explains mercy from Lord Krishna. But someone may think, I'll be direct to pray to Krishna, no need to Guru.
Okay, that also can be one misuse. I'll access the grace of Krishna directly. No need of via medium. Why middlemen? No need of middlemen. Direct access. So yes, that also could be some misuse. Correct. So these could be some various ways in which this doctrine of grace could be misunderstood, misapplied. Okay, and if one understands this properly, how will it affect attitude and behavior?
Can I add one more point to that?
Good. Nayak Saka Prabhu, बोलिए कुछ.
If regarding the misuse of grace, if someone is having some Lord gifted talent that he can use in the service, and if he use that in wrong purpose, can it be misuse of the grace of the Lord?
Okay, in what way he can misuse?
Yes, Prabhuji.
In what way he can misuse?
For example, someone want to preach, but the center should be Prabhupada. But if he's preaching in such a way, he's becoming the center.
Okay, that also could be a misapplication. Yes. So by the grace of the Lord, one has been empowered to do some service, but then he doesn't do the service properly, but he mixes his own material motivations in that. Okay, that's correct. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to the third question. Pratik.
In their attitude, the person who is having grace, he will be humble, understanding that it is by the mercy of Lord and Acharyas and Vaishnavas. His attitude will be humble within, and his external behavior will be showing endeavors, because he knows that everything is by grace. So he will be enthusiastic in the endeavors, and simultaneously he will be also patient. So utsaha, dhairya, nishchaya. So this will be there.
Okay, good point. So attitude will be, he'll be humble because he understands that I'm so insignificant. And then at the same time, he will also endeavor to attract the grace.
That famous verse, Tattenu kampam susamikshmano bunyane evatmakritam vipagam hridavak vapurvir viddan namaste jivete mukti sade padayam. So two things would be shown, that whenever anything good happens, so generally whenever anything good happens, at that time credit is given to Lord. But otherwise, if there is some challenges or there are some problems, then that is considered as a grace, and responsibility and onus is taken on our own. That this is because of my own karma, and still this is the grace of the Lord that I am given this opportunity to rise above my limitations.
Okay, good points. Tattenu kampam was Sadhu Sangru.
So you are mentioning in that yoga letter that when Bhakti Yoga devotees who they act like that everything depend upon him only.
Correct.
And but in the heart he is totally dependent on the mercy of the Krishna for the result.
Correct. Good point. So while doing some service, one does with full endeavor, as if everything depends on me. So full endeavor is there, full enthusiasm is there, but at the end he knows that the result depends on Krishna. It's not in my hands.
He doesn't envy anyone, others for their talent, for their progress, for their advancement.
Why?
Because he sees that he has received the mercy of the Lord, so he's advancing.
Yes, so no envy, because he understands that by the grace of the Lord, somebody has been given some talent, skills, empowerment, whatever. So, yes, no envy. Okay, take Achyut Prabhu and then Ujjwal.
Attitude wise, he will be grateful whatever things are coming in his life. And in behavior, whatever services is given, he will accept it happily and try his best to do it.
Okay, so he'll be grateful for the grace and he'll gratefully, enthusiastically perform his services.
Bhoktaram Yagitabsam Sarvalokameswaram. He will not feel himself a controller, proprietor, or enjoyer. Lord is an enjoyer, proprietor, then his life will be very blissful.
Shanti. So yes, so one who understands that yes, ultimately Krishna is in control. By Krishna's grace, everything is happening. By Krishna's grace, somebody is empowered to do something, somebody is not empowered. So one understands that, then one can be very peaceful. Then there is no envy, there is no materialistic competition. So all that will not be there. And so in general, the devotee community will be peaceful and everyone will try to do their best in their respective services and try to make spiritual progress. Yes, Vishnu.
In the pastime where Lord Chaitanya was dancing in front of the Rath Yatra, so he divided into 7 groups and he expanded himself into all 7 forms. So only Pratapadru Maharaj and few other devotees could see that.
Correct.
So like that time we can see his attitude was that he says, I do not deserve this, but Mahaprabhu is reveling.
So yes, Maharaj Pratapadru is definitely grateful. Last points.
The attitude is Guru's order should follow. Then the behavior, whatever I'm doing, that the behalf of my Guru Maharaj, spiritual master.
Okay, so one understands by the grace of Guru and Krishna, one is able to do everything. Okay, fine. So, so in this way, Arjuna is requesting Krishna, if you think I'm qualified, you can please show your universal form. And so now Krishna begins to describe his universal form. He's not showing it. Before showing it, he's describing it. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Pashyame Partha Rupani Shatashodha Sahasrashaha Nana Vidani Divyani Nana Varna Kritini Cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna Sanaprita, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of very divine and multicolored forms. This is a nice purport where Srila Prabhupada clarifies the tattva about the universal form. Please read.
See Krishna in his universal form, which, although a transcendental form, is just manifested for the cosmic manifestation and is therefore subject to the temporary time of this material nature. As the material nature is manifested and not manifested, similarly, this universal form of Krishna is manifested and non-manifested. It is not eternally situated in the spiritual sky like Krishna's other forms. As far as a devotee is concerned, he is not eager to see the universal form. But because Arjun wanted to see Krishna in this way, Krishna reveals this form. This universal form is not possible to be seen by any ordinary man. Krishna must give the power to see it.
So, the universal form, although a transcendental form, so it is a transcendental form because it is whose form?
Krishna.
Krishna's form. So therefore it is transcendental. But at the same time, it is material in the sense that it's representing the universe. It is just manifested for the cosmic manifestation and is therefore subject to the temporary time of this material nature. So just like the material world is temporary, similarly the universal form is also temporary because it's a representation of the universe. But because it is Krishna's form, it is transcendental. But at the same time, it is temporary. As material nature is manifested, not manifested, similarly, universal form of Krishna is manifested, non-manifested. It's not eternally situated in the spiritual sky like Krishna's other forms. And the devotee is not very eager. So, and for seeing the universal form also, one requires the grace.
That it is transcendental form but temporary. But it's not a material form, is it?
See, it depends. So therefore, to explain this universal form in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada says, this universal form is just like the deity. Okay. Is the deity spiritual or material?
Spiritual, yeah. But the ingredients used are material.
Exactly. That Pashyadityan vason rudran ashvinau marutastata bahonyadrishta purvani pashacharyani bharata pashyashani. Okay, obeyers of the Bharata, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen of or heard of before. Okay, so Krishna is saying, I'm going to show you this universal form, and this form no one has ever seen or heard before. So did Krishna show the universal form before? When he showed? To Duryodhan and Mother Yashoda. So then why he's saying he has never shown? So what is different?
This is quite expansive.
So this is specifically Kala Rupa. As we will see, this has got very specific characteristics, very ghastly characteristics. So that was not shown before. Seventh verse. Ihekastam jagatkritsnam pashyadya sacharacharam mama dehe gudakesha yachyanyadrashtumicchasi. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything moving and non-moving is here completely in one place. So Prabhupada says, no one can see the entire universe while sitting in one place. Even the most advanced scientists cannot see. Prabhupada always takes his chance to give a blow to the scientist. But devotee like Arjuna can see everything that exists in any part of the universe. Krishna gives him the power to see anything he wants to see, past, present, future. Thus, with the mercy of Krishna, Arjuna is able to see everything. Eighth verse. Natu mam shakyase drashtum anaineva svachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshu pashyame yogameshwaram. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. So as Prabhupada writes, a pure devotee does not like to see Krishna in any form except his form with two hands. So devotee must see his universal form by his grace, not with the mind, but with spiritual eyes. To see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind, but his vision. The universal form of Krishna is not very important. That will be clear in subsequent verses. Yet because Arjuna wanted to see it, the Lord gives him the particular vision required to see that universal form. Divyam dadami te chakshu. So here, as Vishwanath Thakur explains, we'll read the commentary, but before that, I'll just explain what he says. So there are three levels of vision that have been described. So on the lowest level is the ordinary material vision, charam chakshu, by which one can only see material things. The next level is, as he says over here, divyam chakshu, divine vision, which the demigods have. And on the highest level, there is spiritual vision. You can say prem chakshu. Okay, Premanj. So, with that spiritual vision, one can see the Shyam Sundar form. So now Arjuna has which Chakshu? The spiritual or Prema Chakshu, by which he is seeing the Shyam Sundar form. So for Arjuna, Krishna has to downgrade his vision. In order to see the universal form, he has to downgrade his vision to this Divya Chakshu. No, but then because there is Prema, then the Madhurya covers Aishwarya. So that's what happens in Vrindavan also, no? So therefore, and that's what we will see in the later verse also. Arjuna is not all interested in seeing the universal form. It's Aishwarya form. So he is already on the topmost platform and he wants to see only the Shyam Sundar form actually. So therefore, Krishna has to give him this special vision by which he can see the universal form. And as far as ordinary people are concerned, if they want to see the universal form, their vision has to be upgraded to the Divya Chakshu. All right. So that's what Vishwanath Chakravarti explains. So you can please read this.
Arjun should not think that this is some form caused by magical trick or material illusion. For the purpose of giving him faith that the form which contains this whole universe is Satchidanand, he speaks this verse.
Okay, so even the universal form is Satchidananda. It's because it's a transcendental form.
By your material eyes, Anena, you cannot see me. You cannot see my purely spiritual form. Shaknosh stand for Saknoshi. Therefore, I give you divine, Divyam eyes. See with those divine eyes. By letting him see with those eyes, the Lord's intention was to give a little astonishment to Arjuna, who was thinking himself to be a material person. Actually, because he is a principal associate of the Lord and therefore previously had appeared as Nara along with the Narayan avatar, Arjuna did not have materialized like ordinary material persons. What is the logic in giving spiritual eyes to Arjuna in order to see a mere expansion of the Lord, when that same Arjuna with his very eyes directly realizes the sweetness of the Lord, of his Lord? But on the other hand, it can be said that the superior eyes, which see only the great sweetness of Krishna's human pastimes, as in the case of the Ananya Bhakta, does not at all accept the glories of the Lord's pastimes performed with the Devatas, Deva Leela. One who has tasted the juice of the white lotus cannot release sugar candy with his tongue. Thus, the Lord, wanting to show the majestic nature of his pastimes with the Devatas, Deva Leela, in order to cause astonishment in Arjuna, who had requested just that, gave to Arjuna non-human eyes suitable for seeing Deva Leela, Divyam, majestic in quality. The intention of giving such eyes will be explained at the end of the chapter.
Okay, so that's what he has explained. So anybody has tasted juice of white lotus? So you can find out. Maybe Ashok Prabhu can do that. Both are here. Acha. So actually this is lotus season, no? This is lotus season. So try and find out. Then you can get realization of what Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying. Okay, fine. So this is what Krishna is giving to Arjuna.
Sanjay also. So like,
by the grace of Vyas.
So it's like already known fact that he has received divine vision.
So whatever Sanjay is saying is by grace of Vyas, no?
So he is also seeing Krishna in his vision is also downgraded. Should we say like that?
Sanjay is not on Arjuna's platform, no.
Correct.
But whatever is required, Vyasdeva has given him so that he can see. But we cannot apply the same thing to Sanjay because he's not on the platform of Arjuna.
And what about other devotees like Bhishma, and they are not able to see at all?
No, as will be explained in further verses, the devotees were able to see. So whomever Krishna empowered, basically, they could see. And that will be explained in the further verses.
Yes.
So here towards the end, Prabhupada writes, the Lord gave Arjuna the necessary power to see his universal form. So Krishna has to give the power. So he gave that power to some of the devotees. The Devatas could see because they already have that vision. Deva Leela, as you see here. So they could see. And on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, whomever Krishna empowered, they could see. So, and he explains why he gave that power, because he knew that Arjuna did not particularly want to see it, as we already explained. So he knew that Arjuna would not be attached to the universal form. So therefore, you see in the beginning of the purport, Prabhupada writes, to see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind, but his vision. Because he didn't want Arjuna to become attached to the universal form. So therefore, he didn't change his mind so that he becomes attached. He only gave vision, that's all. Okay? Okay. So now the next section of the chapter, from 9 to 31, is Sanjay's description of Arjuna's vision. So here there are not many purports. It's only a description of the universal form. So in line, you can read, where is the line going? Here, right? Pratikru. Okay, so read 1:1 translation and proceed. Okay, and some verses will recite. Okay, let's recite the 9th verse. Sanjaya uvacha evam muktva tato rajan mahayogeshwaro hari darshayamasa parthaya paramam rupam aishwaram.
Sanjaya said, O king, having spoken thus, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna.
10 and 11. Aneka vaktra nayanam, aneka adbhuta darshanam, aneka divya bharanam, divya aneka udhyadyat, divya malyambaradharam, divya gandhanulepanam, sarvashcharya mayam devam, anantam vishvato mukam.
Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding.
So in the purport, Prabhupada writes, the word aneka, many, indicates that there was no limit to the number of hands, mouths, legs, and other manifestations Arjuna was seeing. These manifestations were distributed throughout the universe. But by the grace of the Lord, Arjuna could see them while sitting in one place. That was due to the inconceivable potency of Krishna. Now, how many of you have heard Srila Prabhupada's morning walk conversations? Okay. So, can anyone say when and where was this 11th chapter being discussed in a morning walk?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Who's that?
Vitthal Vishnu Das, Prabhuji.
Boliye.
It is discussion, Prabhuji, Juhu Beach with Mr. Patel.
Good. I think so. You have the folio in front of you.
No, Prabhuji, I heard, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. I'm just joking. Huh? Don't take. Okay, fine. That's correct. So you can hear on the conversations on the Juhu Beach with Mr. Patel. So at a certain point, so every day morning walks were going on. At a certain point, Prabhupada tells one devotee to begin to read the 11th chapter. And so one devotee is reading the translations. And then in between, Srila Prabhupada comments. So when the devotee read this, then Srila Prabhupada commented something very interesting. So what did he comment? This. Read. I read, Baba. Or not able to.
If you want to dress somebody, he must be a person. So even in the universal form, there is personality. Divya Malya, Divya Gandha, Kiritina, dressed, well dressed. Well dressed is possible not in the in person. If you want to dress somebody, he must be a person. You cannot dress in the sky. Here is helmet, here is garland. And where you put? Last. So in the universal form also, there is personality. Morning walk, April 4, 1975 born.
So, because this Mr. Patel had some tinges of impersonalism, which came out sometimes, and Prabhupada would always heavily refute it. And so therefore, Srila Prabhupada is taking his chance to refute impersonalism over here, that even the universal form is a person, there's a form. And of course, another lecture or conversation, Prabhupada says, so if one wants to dress the universal form, how much cloth will be required? Even the whole cloth factory will not be sufficient. And so therefore, the Lord has mercifully come in the form of Archavikra. Okay, let's continue. 12th verse. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhavet Yugapat Uttita Yadi Bhasadrishi Syasya Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha.
If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form.
Read the purport.
What Arjuna saw was indescribable, yet Sanjaya is trying to give a mental picture of that great revelation to Dhritarashtra. Neither Sanjaya nor Dhritarashtra was present, but Sanjaya, by the grace of the Vyasa, could see whatever happened. Thus, he now compares the situation as far as it can be understood to an imaginable phenomenon, the example, thousands of suns.
So he's trying to describe, because to Dhritarashtra. So therefore he's trying to describe with something which Dhritarashtra can at least try to imagine. So you can just imagine one sun, full bright sun, can one see? And here what is said? Surya Sahasrasya. Hundreds of thousands of suns. You can just imagine that. You can't imagine actually. What effulgence must be there? Hundreds of thousands of suns. One sun we can't imagine. We can't see. And this is hundreds of thousands of suns. You have some other analogy? What I can't understand. What question you will ask?
Let's say I give an example, someone, the Pratik, this radiance of sun is as good as thousands of hundreds of suns. Because Pratik has got eyes, he could at least see one sun and then he comprehends. Dhritarashtra to pehle se andha hai, kai ka comprehend kar rahe ho? He has never seen sun in his life. How will he? If I'm.
What do you think?
Well, I feel it is absurd. That's why I asked the question.
Some amazingly brilliant people are here. Acha, both are right, yeah? Good combination. Only you people get such questions, Baba. I never even thought of this. Anyway, so at least, maybe from past experience, Dhritarashtra knows what is the sun, if not in this life. Okay. 13. Tatraikastam jagat kritsnam pravibhaktam anekada apashyad deva devasya sharire pandavastata. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord The unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Purport, the word tatra there is very significant. It indicates that both Arjuna and Krishna were sitting on the chariot when Arjuna saw the universal form. Okay? So, Arjuna and Krishna were both sitting on the chariot. So what? So when Krishna was showing the universal form, so Krishna was also present as Shamsundar. It's not that that form disappeared. So that form was also there, and plus the universal form also was there. Others on the battlefield could not see this form. Which form? Universal form. Others could. What others were seeing? Yes, others were only seeing two-handed form. The others could not see the universal form because Krishna gave the vision only to Arjuna. Arjuna could see in the body of Krishna many thousands of planets. And as far as Arjuna is concerned, he could see only universal form. He could not see the Shamsundar form. As we learn from Vedic scriptures, there are many universes and many planets, some of them made of earth and so on. Okay. 14. The 14th is an important verse. Tata sa vismaya vishto rishta roma dhananjaya pranamya shirasa devam kritanchalir abhashata. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Purport.
Once the divine vision is revealed, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna changes immediately. Before, Krishna and Arjuna had a relationship based on friendship. But here, after the revelation, Arjuna is offering obeisances with great respect, and with folded hands he is praying to Krishna. He is praising the universal form. Thus, Arjuna's relationship becomes one of wonder rather than friendship. Great devotees see Krishna as the reservoir of all relationships. In the scriptures, there are 12 basic kinds of relationships mentioned, and all of them are present in Krishna. It is said that he is the ocean of all relationships exchanged between two living entities, between the gods or between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Here, Arjuna was inspired by the relationship of wonder, and in that wonder, although he was by nature very sober, calm, and quiet, he became ecstatic. His hair stood up, and he began to offer his obeisances unto the Supreme Lord with folded hands. He was not, of course, afraid. He was affected by the wonders of the Supreme Lord. The immediate context is wonder. His natural loving friendship was overwhelmed by wonder, and thus he reacted in this way.
So this verse is important because this is a verse of Rasa Sandhi. You know Sandhi? Sandhi is what? Transition. So here there's a transition between rasas. So till now there was Sakya Ras, but now the Sakya Ras is turning into Adbhuta Ras. And later on we'll see it turns into Bhayanak Ras. So, but this verse is, as Prabhupada is saying here, that he was affected by the wonders of the Supreme Lord. The immediate context is wonder. His natural loving friendship was overwhelmed by wonder. So that's how this is Adbhuta Ras. And therefore, here there's a change of rasa. And even in the first paragraph, Prabhupada is writing. Thus, Arjuna's relationship became one of wonder rather than friendship. Great devotees see Krishna as reservoir of all relationships. Therefore, he is called yes, Akhila Rasamrita Murti, the embodiment of all rasas. And simultaneously, Krishna can exhibit and reciprocate with different devotees in different rasas. Okay, so now having this vision, now Arjuna begins to offer prayers.
Why at this point only we are telling that Krishna Rasa Sandhi? Because in the second chapter, Krishna says, Shishyastyam sadhimam tvam prakundam. I accept you as my teacher. So that time only the relationship got changed. And in the last chapter also, we saw Krishna accepted Param Brahma, Param Dhama. That also gives, so it seems like he's now giving more prominence to the universal form. That time he realized, no, no, I am so insignificant. Krishna is so great. But before only he has accepted the fact.
See, even though he accepted Krishna as Guru, spiritual master, but that eternal relationship of Arjuna always exists as friend. So that is only a role. Of course, the entire Bhagavad Gita is in one sense a role only. But still, even though he was accepting Krishna as a friend, but still, it's not that the friendly relation was totally, you can say, totally disappeared. It didn't totally disappear. So even a relationship with Guru has two aspects, right? What? Vishrambena, Gauravena. There have to be both these aspects. So Vishrambena is friendly. Gauravena is respect. So the friendly relation is always there. So the friendly relation didn't totally go away, even though he accepted Krishna as Guru. Otherwise, if the friendly relation was not there at all, how could he ask so many questions?
Student can ask his teacher questions.
No, that is fine. But still, the relationship of friendship remains. But here, the relationship of friendship, as you can see in the further verse, is totally gone. And here is only a respectful relationship, wonder. So therefore, here there's a significant change. So therefore, this verse is pointed out as significant. Okay. And of course, that is not what I'm saying. That is what the acharyas are saying. Okay, now Arjuna is offering prayers. Arjuna uvacha pashyami devanstava deva dehe sarvams tatha bhuta vishesha sangan brahmanam isham kamalasanastam rishimscha sarvan urugamscha divyan. Translation.
My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents.
Okay, so this is what Arjuna is seeing in the universal form. All the demigods, Brahma, and everything else. Okay, now read the translations. 16.
O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes, expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning.
Unlimited. No end, no beginning, no middle, nothing. Everywhere is only seeing universal form. Next.
Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence spreading on all sides, like blazing fire of the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs.
Next.
You are the supreme primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You are inaccessible. And you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion.
So in this way is glorifying the Supreme Lord. Next.
You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun, the moon are your eyes. I see you with the blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance.
Purport.
There is no limit to the extent of the six opulences of the personality or supreme personality of Godhead. Here and in many other places, there is a repetition. But according to the scriptures, repetition of the glories of the Krishna is not an literary weakness. It is said that at a time of bewilderment or wonder or of a great ecstasy, statements are repeated over and over. That is not a flaw.
So therefore, you find some repetition.
All the host of demigods are surrendering.
20.
Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planet and all space between. O great one, Seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed.
So here in the purport, Prabhupada says, it appears that not only did Arjuna see this universal form of the Lord, but others in other planetary systems saw it also. Arjuna's seeing of the universal form was not a dream. All whom the Lord endowed with divine vision saw that universal form on the battlefields. Okay, so to whomever Krishna gave that special vision, they could see. 21.
All the host of the demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with the folded hands. Host of the great sages and the perfected beings, crying, all peace, are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns.
22.
All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Vishwe Devas, the two Asvis, the Maruts, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfected demigods are beholding in you in wonder.
O might armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I.
So this is some special features of this universal form. Damstra Karalam. Damstra Karalam. So long teeth, terrible teeth. So there are long, terrible teeth. And then what the teeth are doing, we'll see in the further verses. Next, 24.
O all pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind.
So here you can see that he is, now it's not only just wonder, now wonder has turned into fear. So this is Bhayanak Ras. He's so fearful now seeing this form. And so there are unlimited mouths, and all the mouths are open, gaping mouths, open mouths, long teeth. There is fire coming out of the mouths, glowing eyes, and the whole thing is brilliant like hundreds and thousands of suns. So it's really a terrible form. And so therefore Arjuna is saying, I'm losing my steadiness, equilibrium of mind. It's unbearable seeing this form. Next, 25.
O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I am bewildered.
Yes, so they are, as it says here, Mukhani Drishva Eva Kala Anala. Kala Anala. Anala means fire. Kala. So the fire of death. So mouths are open. From the open mouths, fire is emitting. Fire of death. So you can imagine thousands of mouths and how much fire must be there. Thousands of mouths. And from each one, there's fire coming out. So such a terrible scene. And so therefore, Arjuna is totally bewildered seeing this. 26, 27.
All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their elite kings, and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers also are rushing into your fearful mouths. And some I see trapped with heads smashed between your teeth.
So you see the last line of the 27th verse. Sandrishyante churnite uttamange. So all the uttam anga means head. All the heads are going into the mouths and the teeth are crushing into what? Churna. You know, churna, Trifala churna. Quite well known amongst devotees. So everything is becoming churna, churniteir. So the teeth are crushing all the heads of all the soldiers. They're all rushing into these mouths, and the teeth are crushing them. And so much blood must be coming out. So this is what Krishna did not show Duryodhana or Mother Yashoda. So this is special features. So therefore, this is very special darshan which Arjuna is having. Therefore, Krishna said, no one has ever seen this before. And of course, there's a specific prayojan. Why Krishna is specifically showing this darshan to Arjuna. And that we'll see later on.
So, that indication, that is indication of everything I killed, everyone I killed already. So
yes.
Just to take the credit.
Thank you for repeating Prabhupada's words. So that's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. This is an indication that after the death of nearly all the persons assembled at Kurukshetra, Arjuna will emerge victorious. It is also mentioned here that Bhishma, who is supposed to be unconquerable, will also be smashed. So also Karna. Not only will the great warriors of the other party like Bhishma be smashed, but some of the great warriors of Arjuna's side also. In this way, everyone is entering into the mouths. And to explain this, now again, Sanjay is trying to explain to Dhritarashtra, so he has to give some analogies to make Dhritarashtra understand. So he gives two analogies. Read.
28. As the many waves of the rivers flow into the ocean, so do all these great warriors enter blazing into your mouths.
So one example is giving is like rivers flowing into the ocean, gushing into the ocean. So like that, all these warriors are entering into the mouths. Next.
I see all people rushing full speed into your mouths, as mouths dash to destruction in a blazing fire.
So there's just like these small insects during Diwali time especially, you find around the lights, fire, so they dash into the fire and get burnt. So like that, all these soldiers are entering into his mouths.
Oh Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths. Covering all the universe with your effulgence, you are manifest with terrible scorching rays.
31.
O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is.
So Arjuna is so bewildered seeing this form, he's asking two questions. What two questions is asking?
Who are you?
Who are you? And what is your mission? So the same Krishna is there, but Arjuna is so bewildered, he's asking, who are you? Because it's like a totally different form. So he cannot recognize that is the same Krishna who's showing this form. Therefore, he's asking, who are you? And what is your mission? But of course, here Krishna himself answers these two questions in the next verse. And that's 30 to 34. Krishna says, time I am, and you just become my instrument. So 32, let's recite. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kalosmi Loka Kshayakrit Pravriddho Lokan Samahartumiha Pravruttaha Vrutepi Tvam Na Bhavishanti Sarve Yevastitha Pratyanikeshu Yodhaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, time I am, the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all soldiers here on both sides will be slain. This is what Krishna wanted to show to Arjuna. Job is already done. Don't think you're going to do it. I'm already doing it, and I've done it. Therefore, and this is the next verse, you only become instrument. Purport.
Although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of this devastating force. It is written in the Vedas that the Supreme Truth destroys everything, even the Brahmanas. As stated in Katha Upanishad, Yasya Brahma cha Kshatram cha Ubhe Bhavata Odanaha mrityur pasechanam ka ittha veda yatra saha. Eventually, all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme. This form of the Supreme Lord is the all-devouring giant, and here Krishna presents himself in that form of all-devouring time. Except for a few Pandavas, everyone who was present on that battlefield would be devoured by him. Arjuna was not in favor of the fight, and he thought it was better not to fight. Then there would be no frustration. In reply, the Lord is saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed, for that was his plan. If Arjuna stopped fighting, they would die in another way. Death could not be checked, even if he did not fight. In fact, they were already dead. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature.
Yes. So Kalosmi, so Krishna is time. So there is, in the Bhagavatam, there is a lot of description about time. In almost all the cantos, you will find some description about time. And so, of course, in the first canto, we find how Bhishma Dev, when the Pandavas come to see him on his deathbed of arrows, so that time Bhishma is expressing surprise as to why the Pandavas had to go through so many miseries. So there also, Bhishma Dev, he says, yes, the only reason is time, kala. And he says, just like, he gives an example there, just like the wind pushes the clouds. So when the wind pushes the clouds, clouds cannot resist. So similarly, time is pushing everything. Time is pushing everyone. And everything changes by the influence of time. So nothing is permanent. Everything is going to be destroyed by the influence of time in the material world. Nothing is going to be permanent. So this is something which, as we were reading those verses in the Bhagavatam, Hiranyakashipu's teachings. So he's also explaining how by the influence of time, people come together for some time and then they are separated. So this is all happening by the influence of time. And so therefore, the lesson for us is, there is no need to be attached to anything of this material world, because nothing is going to remain, including our bodies, which we may be so attached to. But nothing is going to remain. And so everything else in connection to the body also is going to perish. These are points which we hear, but it's important that we contemplate on them so that we can apply them. So if we deeply contemplate on these points, then there is nothing worth being attached to in this material world, because nothing is going to stay. Correct? Including our posts, positions, and possessions in devotional service. Even they are going to be taken away. There is only one thing which we can carry, and that is Krishna consciousness. It is only that consciousness that we carry. Then nothing else. Everything else we have to leave behind. So therefore, the purpose of all activities, all duties within this world is transformation of consciousness. Dharma svanashrita pumsa vishwaksena katasuya na utpadiyet yatiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. So all our duties which we may perform, duties of varna and ashram, all of them ultimately are meant for us to develop rati, attachment to Krishna. That is the purpose. So by the performance of our various duties, if we are not developing attachment to Krishna, what is the use? No use. Whatever service we may be doing. So whether one is sweeping the temple floor or doing any other menial service, Or one may be doing some big services, big preachers, temple president, GBC, whatever it is. Ultimately, nothing is going to remain. All those services should lead to what? Rati, towards the Lord. That is the purpose. So at the end, when we quit this body, it makes no difference whether one has been a preacher or a temple president or a GBC or a cook or whatever. That hardly makes any difference. But by the performance of those services, how much have we transformed our consciousness? That is all what is going to matter. Because on the basis of that transformation of consciousness, the transformation of the subtle body, we're going to get next gross. Therefore, that's the only thing which matters. And therefore, our goal should be very clear. What are we trying to achieve? So if post positions come as service, we may accept. But then what should be the goal? What should be the prayojan? That should be very clear. So not that I get so absorbed in performing the practical services that one does not bother about increasing attachment to Krishna. So one has to be conscious of how one is transforming one's consciousness, how much one is developing attachment to Krishna, how much one is increasing the taste in Harinam, Harikatha, serving the Vaishnavas, developing the good qualities. So one has to be focused on this. Because that's the only thing that remains, is the consciousness. Otherwise, everything is going to be finished. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. As at some other place in the Bhagavatam, it said, all that remains is a list of names only. That's all. So when Srila Prabhupada went to France, Prabhupada saw the statue of Napoleon, and he said, so you say Napoleon is France, France is Napoleon, but where is Napoleon? France is still there. So yes, nothing remains. So these are very important points for us to contemplate on. Everything is going to be destroyed. So can't be attached to anything material. So we have something we can use in Krishna's service. That's all.
Raji, attachment to Guru and devotees, how much important is that? See, attachment to Krishna is the main, the goal, and then attachment to Guru, and then devotees.
You were there for today's Bhagavatam class?
Yes, yes.
At the end, you remember one devotee is asking one question. At the time of death, if one remembers spiritual master instead of Krishna, where I'll go? You know?
I came late. I didn't hear that.
Towards the end. Anyway, question answers. So what was Prabhupada's reply? Prabhupada said he'll also go to Krishna because spiritual master is also going to Krishna. In another place, when another devotee asked a similar question, Srila Prabhupada, what if I remember you at the time of death? That was a little more direct. And so Srila Prabhupada, in that place, Srila Prabhupada said, that's all right. So, no problem. It's all Advaya Gyan. On the absolute platform, Krishna and his devotees, they're always together. So yes, so our attachment to Krishna definitely develops through our attachment to Guru and the Vaishnavas. So that's perfect. Okay, fine. 33. Okay, I think it's time for a break, right? Okay, we'll take a break and continue. Hare Krishna. (33) Tasmat tvamuttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samruddham maye vete nihita purvameva nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Sabyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Purport.
Sabyasachi refers to one who can shoot arrows very expertly in the field. Thus, Arjuna is addressed as an expert warrior capable of delivering arrows to kill his enemies. Just become an instrument, nimitta matram. This word is also very significant. The whole world is moving according to the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Foolish persons who do not have sufficient knowledge think that nature is moving without a plan and all manifestations are but accidental formations. There are many so-called scientists who suggest that perhaps it was like this or maybe like that. But there is no question of perhaps and maybe. There is a specific plan being carried out in this material world. What is this plan? This cosmic manifestation is a chance for the conditioned souls to go back to Godhead, back to home. As long as they have the domineering mentality which makes them try to lord it over material nature, they are conditioned. But anyone who can understand the plan of the Supreme Lord and cultivate Krishna consciousness is most intelligent. The creation and destruction of the cosmic manifestation are under the superior guidance of God. Thus, the battlefield of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of God. Arjuna was refusing to fight, but when he was told that he should fight in accordance with the desire of the Supreme Lord, then he would be happy. If one is in full Krishna consciousness and his life is devoted to the Lord's transcendental service, he is perfect.
So here, tasmat. So using tasmat, therefore. So what is the connection to the previous verse? In the previous verse, Krishna said, I've already destroyed everyone in the form of Kala. In the form of Kala, I've already killed everyone. So therefore, it is not that you are going to kill them. In many of his lectures, Prabhupada would say that Krishna had already decided that these people on the battlefield, they will not return back to their homes. Prabhupada says, वापस घर नहीं लौटेंगे. Finished. So Krishna had already decided that. So therefore he says, therefore, all what you have to do is nimitta matra. Simply become instrument. So therefore, ultimately, that's what all of us have to become. Ultimately, we all can only become instruments in Krishna's hands. And we read in the conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. Mahaprabhu is asking questions, Ramananda Rai is giving answers. And Mahaprabhu at a certain point is glorifying the answers. So Ramananda Rai says, my tongue is just like a stringed instrument and you are the player of the instrument. So no credit to me. You are only playing. So that's what each one of us needs to think. Srila Prabhupada writes in the introduction to Nectar of Devotion. Of course, that's what Rupa Goswami is saying. So Rupa Goswami is presenting himself in a very humble way. He says, I'm not qualified to write this Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, but I'm simply acting as an instrument of the previous acharyas. So in that purport, in there, Srila Prabhupada writes every preacher when the Krishna consciousness movement should think like this. He should simply consider himself to be an instrument in the hands of the previous acharyas. Again, today morning, again in the question answers, you remember that? One person is asking, when did you become the spiritual leader of this movement? What did Prabhupada say? Immediately. No, there was no second thought. Immediately. When my guru ordered, that time. That's all. This is parampara. So that was always Srila Prabhupada's mood. Simply instrument in the previous acharyas. Simply following instructions, that's all. And having that attitude is something which is very, very vital. Because that's a fact. When we don't realize that, then what will happen? If we don't realize I'm simply an instrument, what will happen? One will become proud. I'm doing something. I'm doing something great.
He may compare himself with even with his guru. I have done something better than what my guru has done.
That is also possible. That's what we were reading in yesterday we were reading that purport Srila Prabhupada is writing. One should not try to, the foolish disciple tries to occupy the post of the spiritual master. Yes, then he immediately falls. So this is what happens when one does not realize this fact that I'm simply instrument. Then one begins to take credit for oneself. But when one understands, no credit to me. That's what all the acharyas are teaching, whether it is Rupa Goswami or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami or Srila Prabhupada. You take the example of any of the acharyas. So they all accept this fact. Their full realization of this fact, that I am simply a puppet. As Prabhupada, of course, he directly said that. Nachao, nachao, make me dance, I'm only puppet. So, if we don't understand that, then there is every possibility of becoming proud. I gave you that example of that preacher who became proud of his preaching. So, unfortunately, these things happen. Then one rejects one's own guru and goes somewhere else. One doesn't understand, why am I here today? So by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and the spiritual masters, one becomes a devotee, and after becoming a devotee, one thinks, now I become so great that I reject them. Just see. Now I can reject them, and for my spiritual progress, I can go to some other institution, accept another spiritual master, and I'll make progress. Just see the demoniac mentality. And these things are happening these days. They happened in the past also, and they're still happening now also. It's very unfortunate. But this is all because of not understanding this principle. From where am I getting the power to do anything? And if one does not understand that, then Srila Prabhupada told the story. Yes, Punar Mushika Bhav. That's what happens. Again become mouse. Then when one becomes proud, Krishna will take away all the powers and then it's finished. And that's what happens to many such devotees who leave the shelter of the bona fide spiritual master whimsically and go elsewhere. Then they just disappear into oblivion. That's what happens. So, therefore, one always has to keep this in mind. Krishna is doing everything. I am simply an instrument in the hands of the previous acharyas and the Supreme. So I cannot really take credit for anything. And as Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Balam balavatam chaham, tejas tejasvinamaham, buddhir buddhimatam asmi. Everything Krishna is giving. What is my credit? My only credit is I'm trying to become an instrument, that's all. So one has to understand this. So, 34. Dronam cha bhishmam cha jayadratam cha karnam tatanya napi yodha viran maya hatam stvam jahima yodhyasvajeta sirane sapatnan. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and the other great warriors have already been destroyed by me. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies in battle. Purport.
Every plan is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but He is so kind and merciful to His devotees that He wants to give the credit to His devotees who carry out His plan according to His desire. Life should therefore move in such a way that everyone acts in Krishna consciousness and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of a spiritual master. The plans of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are understood by His mercy, and the plans of the devotees are as good as His plans. One should follow such plans and be victorious in the struggle for existence.
So every plan is made by Supreme Personality of Godhead. So plan is made by the Supreme Lord, and He's only executing His plan also. But He mercifully makes the devotee instruments and gives credit to the devotees. So what are the some of the examples where Krishna gives credit to devotees? Okay. So it was Krishna's plan that there should be temple. And okay, Prabhupada was made instrument. Okay. Some other examples.
To Ramanujacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, he's asking questions and taking the from
Okay, Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Ramananda
Okay.
Rai,
Yes, Ramananda Rai.
Krishna took Yudhishthira Maharaj to Bhishma.
For what?
For getting his doubts clarified.
Yes, even Krishna could not convince Arjuna by Krishna's own plan. So Krishna within the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj did not allow him to be convinced by his talk also. Why? He wanted to give credit to Bhishma. Some other examples?
After killing Jayadratha, Krishna giving credit to Bhima. Jayadratha, not Jayadratha, that fighting करने के लिए गए थे गुरु जी उसके
Jarasandha, na?
Jarasandha, yes.
Yes, Jarasandha. He could have killed, but he empowered Bhima. Some other examples?
The prediction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prithviraj Nagaradigram.
Okay, prediction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada himself says that the Lord could have done it, but he left some service for us.
Krishna's spiritual master, Sandipani Muni, he glorified his spiritual master. Actually, knowledge coming from Krishna only, but it is coming through his spiritual master to Krishna again. So,
Okay, so yes, he accepts Sandipani Muni as spiritual master to glorify him. Yes.
समुद्र मंथन लीला में
Chariot driver of Arjuna. हाँ, समुद्र मंथन में क्या हो गया?
शिवजी ने पॉइजन लिया और उनको पूरे समुद्र मंथन लीला में शिवजी फेमस हो गए.
Yes, correct. Yes, give credit to Lord Shiva. Or?
Says that somewhere in Bhagavatam he says that because of you, he glorifies Brahmana, saying that because of few people performing yajna, I become powerful.
Correct. Yes. So this, of course, is told by Lord Narayan in the pastime of the four Kumaras in Jain Vijay. Yes, there the Lord, he is glorifying the Brahmanas, and he says, because I have taken the dust of the lotus feet of the Brahmanas on my head, therefore I have become famous.
One devotee asked Prabhupada that Bhakti Vinod Thakur was such a great acharya. Why didn't he preach Miss Krishna consciousness throughout that. And Prabhupada said he left that service for me.
Correct. There are at least one or two more examples, very prominent.
Amrish Maharaj, Lord says there to Drosa Muni that how my devotees always in my heart and I am the heart of the devotees.
Sadhu. Yes, give credit to Arjuna for fighting the war.
Lord Ram gave all credit to Hanuman.
Yes, Lord Ram gave credit to Hanuman and all the monkeys. Others he could have done everything himself.
Lord Chaitanya explained everything to Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, and he empowered them to write books.
Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered Rupa and Sanatana to write books. Okay, good.
Prabhupada gives credit to his disciples that it's because of their contributions, their help, I am able to complete.
Yes, Prabhupada did give credit to his disciples many occasions. Who killed Kalyavan? Yes, so that's another example of giving credit to his devotees. He could have killed himself, but of course he served two purposes there. So one is killing of Kalyavan, at the same time he wanted to give darshan to Muchukunda also. So both were accomplished. He already told Jarasandha. And also we find that how many times Krishna would consult Uddhav. So even though Krishna knows everything, but still he consults Uddhav. When? When did he consult?
Uddhav, do you have any plan how to kill the Jarasandha? What is the plan?
No, there were two invitations that came at the same time. From whom? Bolo? No. So Krishna consulted Uddhav because simultaneously two invitations came. And he was confused, apparently confused where to go.
Yudhishthira Maharaj.
Yes, Yudhishthira Maharaj invited for the Rajsu sacrifice. And
he has to go to kill or king's invitation. Other two devotees were inviting.
Which kings?
They captured
By? Yes, the kings who were captured by Janasandha, they also sent a letter to Krishna requesting him to save them. And so apparently Krishna was confused, and that's the time when he consults Uddhav. So where should I go? And so then, of course, Uddhav, first of all, he says, oh, you know everything, but still you're consulting. And then that's how, so Krishna, so Uddhav tells, so if Yudhishthira Maharaj has to perform Rajsu sacrifice, Jarasandha has to be killed. Then only he can perform Rajsu sacrifice. So therefore, first, Jarasandha needs to be killed. And that's how everything was accomplished. Okay, fine. So that's how every plan is ultimately made by the Supreme Lord, but sometimes he gives credit to his devotees. And then another important point is, life should therefore move in such a way that everyone acts in Krishna consciousness and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of a spiritual master. The plans of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are understood by His mercy, and the plans of the devotees are as good as His plans. One should follow such plans and be victorious in the struggle for existence. So many times it is beyond our conception to understand what are exactly Krishna's plans, what is Krishna trying to teach in various situations. Things become sometimes quite bewildering. And so therefore, at that time, it is best to follow the plans of the devotees, surrender to those plans and accept them as Krishna's plans. So therefore, sometimes there are situations in lives of devotees which are very bewildering. And devotees get very much confused. So at that time, best is to consult some senior Vaishnavas and act accordingly. Okay, so Prabhupada is writing a purport. Points we already discussed. Read.
That is the beauty of the Lord's dealings with his devotee. Sometimes the Lord gives more credit to his devotees than he takes for himself. For instance, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna fought simply by giving directions. Yet it was Arjuna who took the credit for fighting. Nimitta matram bhava sabyasachi. You, O Sabyasachi, Arjun, can be but an instrument in the fight. Everything was arranged by the Lord, but the credit of victory was given to Arjun. Similarly, in the Krishna consciousness movement, everything is happening according to the predictions of Lord Chaitanya, but the credit goes to Lord Chaitanya's sincere servants.
So you see, even here Prabhupada doesn't take credit for himself. What he's saying? Lord Chaitanya's sincere servants. So ultimately it applies for all of us also. So ultimately this movement is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, and this movement is going to go on. Whether we take part in it or not, the movement will go on. So therefore, it is up to us. It is our choice whether we want to be part of the movement and take credits. Others, movement will go on. Whether I am there or not, it's going to make no difference. The movement is going to go on. But if I take part in the movements, then I can get some credit. So therefore, it's for our own benefit that I serve. It's not that the movement will suffer if I don't serve. No. वो चलता रहेगा. Not that if I don't do my service, temple will close down. Goes on. So therefore, I should consider that I am getting an opportunity to serve. That is for whose benefit? That is for my benefit. It's my good fortune that even though I am so unqualified, I'm getting an opportunity to serve. This is causeless mercy on this fallen soul, that I'm getting an opportunity to serve. So that should be the consciousness. Okay, fine. So now we go to the next section. कहाँ है आपका? Okay, so now after this, the next section is Arjuna is offering prayers. Okay, so Arjuna, he saw the universal form, and then he's asking, who are you? What is your mission? Krishna answered. And now in the next section, from 36, I suppose, till 45, Arjuna is offering prayers. 36. Arjuna uvacha stane rishikesha tava prakirtya jagat prarishyatya anurajyate cha rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti sarve namasyanti cha siddha sangaha. Arjuna said, O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. Purport?
Arjuna, after hearing from Krishna about the outcome of the battle of Kurukshetra, became enlightened. And as a great devotee and friend of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said that everything done by Krishna is quite fit. Arjun confirmed that Krishna is the maintainer and object of the worship for the devotees and the destroyer of the undesirables. His actions are equally good for all. Arjuna understood herein that when the battle of Kurukshetra was being concluded, in outer space there was present many demigods, siddhas, and intelligentsia of the higher planets, and they were observing the fight because Krishna was present there. When Arjuna saw the universal form of the Lord, the demigods took pleasure in it, but others, who were demons and atheists, could not stand it when the Lord was praised. Out of their natural fear of the devastating form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they fled. Krishna's treatment of the devotees and the atheist is praised by Arjuna. In all cases, a devotee glorifies the Lord because he knows that whatever he does is good for all.
So ultimately, even though the Lord may be Paritrana Sadhunam Vinashaya Dushritam, but still ultimately whatever he does is good for everyone. So even though the demons may be killed by the Supreme Lord, that is for their benefit. What destination they get? They get liberation. So therefore, ultimately, whatever Krishna does is just perfect. It is good for everyone. That should be our faith. Whatever is happening in my life is happening by Krishna's sanction. Without Krishna's sanction, can anything happen? No. So it's everything that's happening in my life is by Krishna's sanction, and whatever he does is for my benefit. So one should have that faith. Not that one starts grumbling, अरे ऐसे क्यों हो गया? मैं भक्ति कर रहा हूँ, इतने साल से कर रहा हूँ. So no, so one accepts, okay, I don't understand, but definitely all this is happening for my benefit. ठीक है. 37. So, okay, let's recite. Kasmachatena nameran mahatman gariyase brahmanopya adikartre ananta devesha jagan nivasa tvamaksharam sadasat tatparam yat. O great one, greater even than Brahma, you are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universe, you're the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendent to this material manifestation. So here Arjuna, glorifying Krishna, is addressing him by various words like Mahatman, Adi Kartre, Ananta, Devesha, Jagannivasa, Aksharam, Sat Asat Param. So all these are words glorifying the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada is just describing each of them in brief. So we're going ahead. Please read the translation for the next verse, 38.
You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes. O ultimate, O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you.
Okay, so he's glorifying again Supreme Lord. He is the shelter. He is the oldest Purana, Vishwasya Param. He's transcendental material world. He's Nidanam, the refuge of the entire universe. Ananta Rupam. Okay, next.
You are air, and you are the supreme controller. You are fire, you are water, and you are the moon. You are Brahma, the first living creature, and you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectable obeisances unto you 1,000 times and again and yet again.
So again, all this is glorification, glorifying the greatness of Krishna. Next.
Obeisance to you from the front, from the behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything.
So Prabhupada writes, out of loving ecstasy for Krishna, his friend, Arjuna is offering his respects from all sides. So he's in ecstasy here. After knowing the greatness of his friend Krishna, he's in total ecstasy. Therefore, he's offering obeisances from all sides. 41, 42.
Thinking of you as my friend, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadav, O my friend, not knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses.
Purport.
Although Krishna is manifested before Krishna in his universal form, Arjuna remembers his friendly relationship with Krishna and is therefore asking pardon and requesting Krishna to excuse him for many informal gestures which arises out of friendship. He is admitting that formally he did not know that Krishna could assume such a universal form, although Krishna explained it as his intimate friend. Arjuna did not know how many times he may have dishonored Krishna by addressing him, "Oh, my friend, oh Krishna, oh Yadav," etc., without acknowledging his opulences. But Krishna is so kind and merciful that in spite of such opulences, he played with Arjuna as a friend. Such is the transcendental loving reciprocation between the devotees and the Lord. The relationship between the living entity and Krishna is fixed eternally. It cannot be forgotten, as we can see from the behavior of Arjun. Although Arjun had seen the opulences in the universal form, he cannot forget his friendly relationship with Krishna.
So that relationship is eternal. So for some time, Arjuna, he forgot his friendly relation, but you can see he's still remembering his friendly relation, and that relation continues. That is always there because that's his eternal relationship. Okay, let's read this commentary.
Oh, I have committed the greatest offense to you, who are filled with such great powers. In this way, Arjuna manifests great regret. Oh Krishna, hey Krishna, you are well.
So he's describing in what way Arjuna would act a little, you could say, in a friendly way and in a joking way. So that's what he's describing.
Oh Krishna, hey Krishna, you are well known as the son of Vasudev, who is not famous, who was a human, a mediocre fighter situated on the same chariot as another fighter, Ardharatha. I, Arjuna, am known as the son of a king Pandu, a great warrior fighting on his own chariot, Atiratha.
Okay, so that's the way he would sometimes joke with Krishna. You are son of Vasudev. Vasudev was not such a powerful warrior, but I was the son of Pandu. So in that way, he would sort of compare.
Oh Yadava, hey Yadava, you do not have the king's position in the Yadu dynasty, but I have kingship over the Puru dynasty. The Sandhi of Sakha with Iti is poetic license. Oh friend, hey Sakha, my friendship with you is not because of the greatness of your forefathers, nor because of the reputation of your family, but it is simply based on familiarity.
So he's describing some of the ways in which he would speak. Continue.
I beg pardon for such rough words. Prasabham. I have spoken for intending the above meanings. The sense of verse 41 is continued in verse 42 with the verb shamaye. The proper form of the verb would be shamayam. I should beg for forgiveness. Either through negligence or out of affection, not knowing you as the universal form, mahimanam. I have treated you badly during the leisure and other times in order to joke. I have scolded you with sarcastic words, saying that you are truthful, innocent, and very gullible. I beg forgiveness for the thousands of offenses produced when you were alone, not in the presence of friends, or when you were surrounded by friends who were joking. Tat samaksham. Oh Master, I beg you to forgive me.
Okay, so in this way, he is requesting Krishna to forgive. So the same thing he... okay, so next verse also is global. Translation, next verse.
You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipper, chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within three worlds, O Lord of immeasurable power?
Yes, so nobody is equal, nobody is greater. So Prabhupada very often quotes this verse from the Shvetashvara Upanishad. Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate na tat sama cha abhyadikascha drishyate. No one is sama and no one is adhika. Everyone is lower. So that's Krishna's position. Ekaleshwara Krishna arasabha vritya. 44.
You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisance and ask your mercy. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, a friend the impertinence of a friend, or a husband the familiarity of his wife. Please tolerate the wrongs I may have done you.
Okay, so he's giving some examples to beg forgiveness. 45.
After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened. But at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of the Lords, O abode of the universe.
Purport.
Arjuna is always in confidence with Krishna because he is a very dear friend. And as a dear friend is gladdened by his friend's opulence, Arjuna is very joyful to see that his friend Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and can show such a wonderful universal form. But at the same time, after seeing that universal form, he is afraid that he has committed so many offenses to Krishna out of his unalloyed friendship. Thus, his mind is disturbed out of fear, although he had no reason to fear. Arjuna therefore is asking Krishna to show his Narayana form because he can assume any form. This universal form is material and temporary, as the material world is temporary. But in the Vaikuntha planets, he has his transcendental form with 4 hands as Narayan. There are innumerable planets in the spiritual sky, and in each of them, Krishna is present by his plenary manifestations of different names. Thus, Arjuna desired to see one of the forms manifest in the Vaikuntha planets. Of course, in each Vaikuntha planet, the form of Narayana is 4-handed, but the 4 hands hold different arrangements of symbols, the conch, mace, lotus, and disc. According to the different hands, these 4 things are held in. The Narayanas are variously named. All of these forms are one with Krishna. Therefore, Arjuna requests to see his 400 features.
So here, Prabhupada writes that the universal form is material and temporary. In the previous verse, what we read? Transcendental. So therefore, it is compared to deity. So just like the deity is also transcendental and material at the same time, so universal form also is transcendental and material at the same time. So therefore here you see, Prabhupada writes that the universal form is material and temporary. So here we find Arjuna is terrified seeing the universal form. So therefore he requests him to show Narayan form. So why Narayan form? Why not directly Shyamsundar form? Why is first telling Narayan form?
One reason Prabhupada explains that sometimes people may say Lord Narayan se Krishna hai, and Krishna is like expansion of Narayan. So in order to remove that
correct
fallacy also.
Yes. So basically he wants to show that all forms come from Krishna. So in order to establish that, he's telling first show Narayan form, and then he will tell to show Shyamsundar form. 46.
To see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with glove, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form.
Yes, so he's requesting to show the Narayan feature. Okay, now the next section, the last section of the chapter, 47 to 55. Only pure devotees can see Krishna's two-armed form. 47. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Prasannena Tavarjunedam Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yogat Tejomayam Vishwamanantamadhyam Yanme Tvadanyena Nadrishta Purvam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency the supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. So again, Krishna says, yes, no one before has seen this form. And Prabhupada explains here in this purport that Duryodhana had seen, but so towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada writes that, unfortunately, Duryodhana did not accept the peace offer. But at that time, Krishna manifested some of his universal forms, but those forms are different from this one shown to Arjuna. It is clearly said that no one had ever seen this form before. Okay, let's read this.
O Arjuna, you have said that you desire to see my majestic forms. Verse 3. And by your request, I have shown the form of the universe, which is one of my parts. Why has your mind become disturbed on seeing it? Is it not astonishing that you plead with me, wanting now to see my human form? Thus the Lord speaks this verse. Being pleased with you, I have shown this form to you, Tava alone, not to anyone else, since it has not been seen previously by anyone, in spite of that, do you
not want to see that form? So Krishna is a little bit joking with Arjuna. So he's saying, I've shown you such a special form, such a special darshan I've shown you. You only requested, correct? You only requested, on your request, I showed you such a special darshan. Now you don't want to see. Now you want to see my mere human-like form. So that is what Krishna is saying over here. So it's sort of a little joking with Arjuna and saying, why you want to see this simple human-like form when I've shown you such a special form? But then he says in the next verse, Na veda yajna dhyayanair na danair na cha kriyabhir na tapobhirugrai evam rupa shakya aham niloke drishtvam tvad anyena kuru pravira. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by severe penances, can I be seen in this form in the material world. Okay, so even to see the universal form, none of these material activities will help one. Okay, because even universal form is Krishna's form. So therefore, no material qualifications will help one even to see universal form. Right? So, na veda, yajna, dhyana, danair, kriyabir, tapobir. So none of these activities will help one even to see universal form. Because after all, it's Krishna's form. So that's what Prabhupada writes in the second paragraph of the purport. He says that no one can have some idea of the Vishwarupa after this. Those who are actually divine can see the universal form of the Lord. But one cannot be divine without being a pure devotee of Krishna. The devotees, however, who are actually in the divine nature and who have divine vision are not very much interested in seeing the universal form of the Lord. As described in the previous verse, Arjuna desired to see the four-handed form of Lord Krishna as Vishnu and was actually afraid of the universal form. Read the last paragraph.
There are many persons
ये
who
माइक
create-
इस साइड नहीं जा रहा लगता है. अच्छा आ गया क्या? ठीक है.
There are many persons who create incarnations. They falsely claim an ordinary human to be an incarnation. But this is all foolishness. We should follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, there is no possibility of attaining perfect spiritual knowledge. Although Bhagavad Gita is considered the preliminary study of the science of God, still it is so perfect that it enables one to distinguish what is what. The followers of a pseudo-incarnation may say that they have also seen the transcendental incarnation of God, the universal form. But that is unacceptable because it is clearly stated here that unless one becomes a devotee of Krishna, one cannot see the universal form of God. So one first of all has to become a pure devotee of Krishna. Then he can claim that he can show the universal form of what he has seen. A devotee of Krishna cannot accept false incarnations or followers of false incarnations.
Okay, so even to see the universal form, some devotion is required. Without devotion, one cannot even see universal form. Text 49. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Rupam Ghoram, Drishtva Rupam Ghoram. So you have been disturbed by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can see the form you desire. Text 50. Sanjay said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. So he has described Saumya Vapu, Saumya Vapu. That is the two-armed form. And Prabhupada explained to see that two-armed form, what is required? Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilokshani. 51. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, "Oh Janardhan, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature." So Arjuna is totally peaceful now. Finished. Universal form. Ghora Rupam. That darshan is finished now. And so now seeing the Shyam Sundar form, so pleasing, he is very happy. So now the Lord speaks, very important verse, 52. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Sudo Darshamidam Rupam Drishtavanasi Yanmama Devapyasya Rupasya Nityam Darshana Kankshinaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear." Which form? Shyam Sundar form, two-handed form. Please read the first paragraph of the purport.
In the 40th verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna concluded revealing his universal form and informed Arjuna that this form is not possible to be seen by so many pious activities, sacrifices, and etc. Now here the word Sudarshanam is used, indicating that Krishna's two-handed form is still more confidential. One may be able to see the universal form of Krishna by adding a little tinge of devotional service to various activities like penances, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation. It may be possible, but without a tinge of bhakti, one cannot see. That has already been explained. Still, beyond that universal form, the form of Krishna with two hands is still more difficult to see, even for demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. They desire to see him, and we have evidences in Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of his mother, Devaki, all the demigods from heaven came to see the marvel of Krishna, and they offered nice prayers to the Lord, although he was not at that time visible to them. They wanted to see him.
They waited to see him.
See, they waited to see him. A foolish person may deride him, thinking him an ordinary person, and may offer respect not to him, but to the impersonal something within him. But these are all nonsensical postures. Krishna in his two-handed form is actually desired to be seen by demigods like Brahma and Shiva.
Okay, so this Krishna himself is saying this. Krishna himself is saying that this form of mine is what? Sudurdarsham. Not only Durdarsham, Sudurdarsham. Durdarshan. Dur ka darshan. So yes, the Lord is also very far. So very difficult. So Krishna is himself saying, Sudur darsham idam rupam, this form of mine. Very difficult. How difficult? Devapi, even the devatas, deva api, asya rupasya, this form, nityam darshana kanksha. They're always hankering to see this form. So can you relate some pastimes to show that how even the demigods cannot see the form of Krishna?
Lord Brahma in Brahma Vimohan Leela.
Lord Brahma in Brahma Vimohan Leela. Why do you say that?
Brahma couldn't identify that he is Krishna only.
Okay, agreed. Okay, Brahma, he saw, but he did not see. He saw, but in one sense he did not see. He could not understand that he was the Supreme Personality of God. Of course, that situation is a little different because that was the covering of Yogamaya for pastimes. But in case, yes.
So when Krishna was a child in Vrindavan, so Lord Shiva came. He wanted to take darshan of the Lord.
And then what happened?
Then Mother Yashoda drives him, and then Krishna started crying. And then someone told me that you call that Baba, and he would pacify.
Correct. So you see that how even Lord Shiva was so anxious to see Krishna.
gopis wanted to see the Krishna's two-hand form, not four-hand forms.
When?
Ras Leela, that when Krishna
Okay. That is where?
No.
What's the name of that place? Yes, Peta. Yes. Huh.
Lord Brahma came to see Krishna in Dwarka.
Lord Brahma came to see?
Krishna in Dwarka. That time the God said, let me inform the Krishna first. And then Krishna
Okay.
said, which Brahma? So I mean, no direct access. He had to take permission.
Okay, ठीक है. Varun Dev kidnapped Nand Maharaj. For what? Okay, to see Krishna. Okay, fine. That's correct.
Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu.
What he did?
He wanted to see Krishna, so he steal the childs of this Brahmana.
Yes, even Mahavishnu wanted to have darshan of Krishna, so therefore he stole the children of the Brahmanas. That's correct. Also, at the beginning of Krishna's descent, so even when the demigods, we know mother cow, not the mother earth in the form of a cow goes to Brahma. Brahma with all the devatas goes to the shore of the milk ocean, and then Brahmaji offers prayers, and then the Lord appears in front of them. No, what happens? Even the sound, who's able to hear? Only Brahma. So just see. And that is who? That is not even Krishna. That is Shirodaksha Vishnu. So Devtas were not even able to see or hear even Shirodaksha Vishnu, who is only an amsha of Krishna. That is why Nitya Darshana Kankshana, that's why they're hankering. And that is why as soon as they understood that Krishna has descended, they're all waiting. When they'll have darshan of Krishna? When? They're all waiting.
Yam Brahma Varunendra. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta.
Kya meaning of?
So even demigods wants to worship Lord Krishna.
Yes.
When Krishna and his all queens comes to Hastinapur for the Rasvi, all the Hastinapur women were going to terrace and wanted to see Krishna and all child.
Right. So of course here we're talking about devatas. Here it's talking about devatas. How the devatas were also eager to see Krishna. Ruko. So therefore, the important point here is that how the Shyam Sundar form of Krishna is so rare that even devatas cannot see. And how often we are seeing? Huh? Every day throughout the day. So we have become greater than the devatas. No. Why? What is your qualification? That's correct. So the only reason why we have such... So see, first of all, we should understand the great fortune that we have. We have to understand this great fortune. Therefore, the fifth canto describes, even devatas are waiting in line to take birth on the earth planet, especially this Kali Yuga. So, Shyam Sundar Prabhu describes in his book, Chasing Rhinos with the Swami, that how when he first came to Mumbai, there were many other temples in Mumbai. Ganpati, Shiva, Durga, all temples. But there was not one Krishna temple. And you know Surabhi Prabhu? So he was architect by profession. So he had actually come to Mumbai to study some Krishna temples for his architecture work. So he was searching all over Mumbai to find some Krishna temple. He could not find. This was 1971. Not a single Krishna temple he could find. Then somebody told him, oh, there are some Krishna devotees staying here, this Akash Ganga building. So that is how he came in touch with devotees. He came to that building, that house, and there he met Shyam Sundar Prabhu. And then Shyam Sundar Prabhu, so Shyam Sundar Prabhu, he was like a hippie with long hair. So Shyam Sundar Prabhu gave him 1 rupee for a haircut and told him, see, our spiritual master is here. Tomorrow you can go and meet him. So that's how the next day Shyam Sundar Prabhu takes Survi Prabhu to Srila Prabhupada and introduces him. So this is an architect from Amsterdam. And Prabhupada says, oh, architects? Makes him sit beside him. He opens his drawer and he takes out the entire plan for Radha Rasbihari temple. This is yours. First meeting, he has not even chanted one mantra. But anyway, the point is that there was not a single Krishna temple in the whole of Mumbai. Now, how many temples are there? 5 big temples. And how many homes are temples? Unlimited. How is this possible? The causeless mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu coming through Srila Prabhupada. That is the only cause. There is no other cause. So therefore, we have to appreciate this causeless mercy that we have been given. We can't take cheaply. Even devatas are not getting darshan. And when Krishna comes to give darshan at 4:30 in the morning and 7:15 in the morning, what do we think? ठीक है भगवान दर्शन दे रहे, ठीक है हम जाएंगे क्या, दिन भर दर्शन तो है. Think about it. Think about it. Even devatas are waiting to have that darshan. Please remember this point. It is foolishness to take it cheaply. At least we must be present before the Lord is going to give darshan. At least that much. At least we should show our eagerness to Krishna, whether we have it or not. At least we must show some eagerness. The Lord is going to appear. The Lord is going to show his darshan. Such rare darshan. Nitya darshana kangshan. Even the demigods are waiting to have that darshan. And that supreme personality of Godhead is going to show his darshan. What eagerness we should have. But the problem in the material world is what? Familiarity breeds contempt. That is the problem. But then you go to other temples and there you have to wait in long line and pay a big amount. And then people are ready to stand in long line for that. Correct? And here, people take cheaply, that's all. Do you think there's any difference? That Lord, all those various forms of the Lord, whether in South India or North India, anywhere, and these forms, any difference? No. But people are ready to pay huge amounts, VIP darshan, this darshan, that darshan, stand in line, do so many things to get that darshan. Correct? And here the Lord is freely giving darshan. What's so special? So we have to understand this causeless mercy that we have been bestowed upon. If we understand that, then we'll take it seriously. If we don't understand, we take it cheaply, that much progress we will make. So, at least that eagerness must be there. Even if the eagerness is not there, at least let us show our eagerness. At least let us try to show our eagerness. So, this is mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, so easily accessible. So here our darshan is, in other temples, especially in South India, so dark, can't see. And people are pushing. But here, floodlights. So many lights. So the Lord is inviting, have darshan, I'm here. Up to us. Right. So, okay, so we'll stop at this point then. And few more verses of this chapter remaining, so we'll continue tomorrow. And also we'll finish the 12th chapter tomorrow. We have little cross time. Maybe you can ask me personally. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.